Good evening, Internet. And well, there's a Raptors game on, so I assume those on the East Coast are still up watching the Raptors, who are doing pretty well in Golden State as I record this. Um, they won't care about this game. They won't care about this series. They're in Raptors land. But for those of us watching hockey, and the ratings have been high in the States, I gotta say, this St. Louis story has really sort of captured some ratings in the States that are pretty decent. I think they said it was a 5.1 million for the last game in the States. That's pretty good. Um, for hockey in the States, that's not bad for a Stanley Cup. Now, the series is tied at 2. Game 5. And this is where, throughout these series, St. Louis starts to shine. They wear the other team down. When they're in defeat, they're playing that physical, heavy game. It is not. I don't view it as being a goonery kind of thing, and there's been a lot of talk about gooning. I think it's just heavy hockey. It's just when you get a chance to finish your check, finish it. So tomorrow night, Boston at home has to win this. This is as must win as it gets. You lose game 5, you're going to St. Louis down 3-2. You can't lose game 5, and Boston should know this. Previous rounds, round 1, the St. Louis Blues won 3-2 at Winnipeg. In round 2, they lost 2-1 at home against Dallas. Their mistake there was having home ice advantage, which has not been an advantage for St. Louis in these playoffs. Round 3, they won 5-0 because they were in San Jose, and because they were kind of angry. They were still angry from game 3, I think. On the Boston side, Boston lost at home against Toronto 2-1 in round 1. They won at home against Columbus 4-3 in round 2. Round 3, they didn't have to worry about it because they swept the Carolina Hurricanes. They're in a game 5 now, and their record at home is 1-1. Now, Bortuzzo, rumor has it tonight, may be in for Edmondson. Edmondson could be out, Bortuzzo in. That makes the hitting a little bit more frequent. Grzelcyk, very likely, apparently, is returning. So if Grzelcyk comes back in, that means that losing Chara doesn't mean we have to bring in Kampfer or look at maybe Vakanainen, Lauzon. Like, I like the depth with Boston's defense. I like testing it during the regular season, not in the Stanley Cup final. Thank you very much. When you look at so we're going to look at St. Louis first. Jaden Schwartz, and I went with 3 big forwards and 2 defensemen. Jaden Schwartz had an assist in game 1, an assist in game 2, and has been quiet in games 3 and 4. No points. That's kind of scary because Jaden Schwartz has been prone to the odd hat trick here and there. Ryan O'Reilly, no points in game 1, an assist in game 2, an assist in game 3, 2 goals in game 4. Huge part of how they won game 4. Vlad Tarasenko, goal in game 1, goal in game 2, no points in game 3, and a goal in game 4. So he has been consistently on the board. Pietrangelo, he had 0 points in the first 3 games, had 2 assists in the last game. Everybody loves Pietrangelo. The funny thing is, Pietrangelo had a couple of shaky games already in this Stanley Cup, but hey, all they remember is when you win and how you do there. Parayko, 3 games without points and 1 goal. I could have put Dunn up there instead of Parayko if Dunn had played all 4 games. But it shows how the scoring off the blue line hasn't been prominent. It hasn't really been prominent for either team, despite a very big story on the Boston side. Binnington, save percentages throughout the finals. 919 in game 1, 913 in game 2, 737 in game 3, and 913 in game 4. Overall shots are 124 to 108 in favor of the St. Louis Blues. Overall hits, 162 to 133 in favor of St. Louis as well. Blocked shots are 65 to 34 in favor of Boston. Giveaways are 43 to 29 in favor of St. Louis. So St. Louis has the lead in 3 of those categories, even in giveaways, which is one you don't want to have. When you look on the Boston side, Bergeron, no points in game 1 or game 2. He had a goal and 2 assists in game 3, which was that huge 4 power play goal game, and he only had 1 assist in the last game. Bergeron with 1 point in 3 of the games of the series. Keep him quiet. You've got your chance. Marchand, a goal in game 1, no points in game 2, an assist in game 3, and an assist in game 4. He's been frustrated. Pastrnak, no points in game 1, an assist in game 2, a goal in game 3, and no points in game 4. If they can keep that line off the board, that stupid nickname they have really doesn't work. Krug had 0 points in Game 1, Game 2, and Game 4, and he had 4 points in Game 3. So he has 4 points in 4 games in the Stanley Cup Finals so far. McAvoy got a goal in the first game, no points to show for the last 3 games. So again, not a lot of scoring from the blue lines so far. Rask, 900 save percentage in Game 1, 919 in Game 2, 931 in Game 3, 919 in Game 4. He's not costing them games. It has just been that the scoring's been kept in control. When you look at it, 4-2 win for Boston in Game 1, 3-2 win in overtime for St. Louis in Game 2, 7-2 win for Boston in Game 3, 4-2 win for St. Louis in Game 4. Goals leaders, Schwartz leading the way for St. Louis with 12, Tarasenko with 11, Perron 6, Bozak 5, O'Reilly with 5 as well. Assists, Pietrangelo with 13, O'Reilly with 13, Parayko has 10 before we get to Shen with 7. Bozak and Perron also have 7. Power play points. Your leaders Tarasenko with 7, O'Reilly with 5, Pietrangelo and Perron each have 4. They're 4-0 when they allow a shorthanded goal in these playoffs. That is one of the most bizarre stats. It's one of those ones you want to put on a post-it note somewhere, leave it around your house, and 10 years from now you can go, hey, what team went 4-0 when they allowed a shorthanded goal in the playoffs? And people go, what? St. Louis. Goals leaders for Boston, Coyle and Bergeron both have 9. Pastrnak and Marchand, I should say, with 8. Assists, Krug with 14, Marchand with 13, Krejci with 10, and Pastrnak with 9. Power play points, Krug with 11. So 11 of those points he has in the playoffs are on the power play. He is, and I've been saying this, he's deadly on the power play. 5-on-5, not as much. Marchand with 11 and Bergeron with 10. So these guys really love that power play. Keep it off the ice, keep it off the board, and you've got your chance right there. The goal differential in the finals so far is 15-11 for Boston, which doesn't really make a big difference. It just shows that St. Louis is winning the games that are close. That's basically what's been going on. Scoring first in these playoffs, St. Louis is 11-4. Boston's 12-3 when the other team scores first. St. Louis is 3-5. Boston's 2-4. First goal is important. So there you go. You're all set for tomorrow night's game. I'm excited. Hopefully Grzelcyk's back. It'd be fun to see Bortuzzo in for Edmondson because I know that while St. Louis loves every player, I've seen a lot of complaints about Edmondson. So that's a move that I think would be popular. We're getting there. We are a maximum 3 games away from crowning a Stanley Cup champion, a minimum of 2. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know your pick. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.